I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. Breaking news coming from Tim Walz.
He's running for president?
One heartbeat away. He might have been now abandoning his re-election bid. I'll turn it over to Blake to give the latest updates on that. We told Chad he'd be up next. Let's go to Chad and Greeley. Good morning, Chad. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you guys this morning?
Good. Happy New Year. What's on your mind?
You too. You know, I believe there is a lot of information that the public doesn't get. So really, we're all making we all have an uninformed opinion of what of the actual reality. But I do not believe that you can put Xi, Vladimir Putin, and Donald Trump all on the same level. The human rights record of the countries are so vastly different that you can't compare the same. You can't,
Well, here's the thing. Now, Chad, let me tell you. When I'm talking about Putin and Xi, I'm not saying they're the same leaders as Trump. What I'm saying is the justification that those leaders are making about why they need, in Putin's case, Ukraine and more territory in Eastern Europe, and why Xi wants Taiwan and more territory in that sphere is the same argument Trump is making. And the reason I bring that up is if this is Trump is making a righteous argument, then why wouldn't Putin and Xi's arguments also be just as righteous? They may be bad people, they may be bad societies, but their arguments their arguments about what they need to do could be similar, if not exactly the same.
I mean, their records of their behavior dictates their motives. I mean, look at China. Look at look at how China's operated for the last 50 years. They go and what was the term you didn't? They colonialize a country like a cancer through the economics. Look what they've done to Cambodia right next to them. Look what they're doing to Brazil. And that's how they operate. What's the difference?
Some people could say the same thing. Some people could say the same thing with us as far as cannibalizing natural resources in Iraq and the Kurdish region, stuff like that. Wait, hang on, Chad. I'm not saying that I'm making that argument. I'm saying some people can make that argument that you are making. Yeah, I'm not owning that, but I'm saying
that's the reality of the
that's
world.
The issue.
It's like there's power. There's big countries, and they want the resources that come from smaller countries. I don't, and there's this like notion that like somehow we were going to enter a time in our world where there's no colonialism. To Chad's point, well, China just went around doing it while America wasn't. So did you want China doing that? So I mean, what are you going to tell China? Stop doing it? Oh, well, they just kept doing it.
But I mean,
Russia wants to do it.
But we have a long history too. I mean, look at the banana wars as far as our history between Central and South America.
That's the world.
That's exactly my point. And so, if that's the world, then we should say that both Putin and Xi's claims on that territory are just as fair and righteous as ours.
No, because they're bad and wrong.
But
and
they're
we're
the big
guys.
But they're the big
you
countries.
seem to not want to say we're the good guys here.
No, you sit there and you say you're the big. No, sometimes good guys is dependent upon position and where you're standing at the time, because there are a whole bunch of people in China that believe they're the good guys, and they believe that we're the bad guys, regardless of what my opinion is or your opinion is. Those are opinions, and their opinions are different. Their opinions are different.
Factual truth. Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, Chad, go ahead.
And I really don't think John Q. Public has all the information that we think we do. We don't know what's going on.
We don't.
Not even close. So, I mean, it might make good radio talk, and it's your guys' job. But it's like at the end of the day, who really knows all the details of why the decisions were made? And who really knows if all the people pulling the strings here are even from this country? Let's be honest here.
We are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So we have to talk about it. All right, Chad, I appreciate it.
Man. Have a good
Thanks
day.
so much, Chad from Greeley. His line's open. Oh, it already jumped in. Hot day. I love it. All right, we'll continue the debate and the discussion. Plus, Tim Walz, gone, no longer seeking his re-election. What? Let's get to the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. It is Monday, 35 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 59 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, Minnesota Governor Tampon Tim is ending his re-election bid. Tim Walz has been under. Yes.
This guy was almost the vice president.
Unbelievable.
The amount of fraud this guy perpetuated upon the people. And don't tell me he was trying to root it out. He was fully aware of it. Everybody from Minnesota is saying it. He allowed this to happen to get votes. It's been exposed. This guy was almost the vice president of the United States. That's how corrupt Democrats are.
He's such a fraud. Thank God for independent journalist Nick Shirley.
Exactly. And you know it's just as bad here in Colorado, if not worse.
No doubt. Showed the abandoned daycares that have received taxpayer money. This is millions of dollars. This is why I'm like, okay, why are we paying taxes? Honestly.
Exactly.
I mean, this is ridiculous. And then Walz, as you mentioned, of course, he's crying that he's the victim. Here's his quote: "Every minute I spend defending my own political interests would be a minute I can't spend defending the people of Minnesota against the criminals like you who prey on our generosity and the cynics who prey on our differences." End of quote.
You want to know where tax dollars are going? You must be a cynic. Unbelievable.
Yes. Wow, man. It must be the same writer who writes for the Democrats in Colorado.
So I read Kamala Harris's book, so you didn't have to.
Thank you.
She talks about coming to the decision she had. She didn't feel like Pete Buttigieg America was ready to have a gay vice president. I mean, she basically says that. She didn't like Shapiro out of Pennsylvania because she felt like he was going to steal too much of the spotlight, so they land on Walz. He was a terrible decision from the beginning. I mean, just his personality and him dancing out there on the.
That's evidently that's how Democrats, far left Democrats, look at white men. That's how they see white men. Evidently. Right. Oh, God, I like this guy. What a bozo.
And do you remember when they tried to do the truck, the pickup truck appeal and the ads they did?
Yes. And they constantly throwing out there these former high school football coach. Yep. What a dork. Horrible and a crook.
What a moment just to pause and reflect that this guy was almost the vice president of the United States and has now ended his run for governor because of the fraud that he perpetuated upon his own people. I mean, $1 billion, if not more, of taxpayer money fraudulently given out to these criminals. Incredible.
Dirty.
Great work, Nick Shirley.
Yeah, Nick Shirley. What a patriot, man. All he had to do was listen and watch his wife for 10 minutes, and you knew what a freak show that was. Venezuelan narco thug dictator Nicolas Maduro has arrived at a New York courthouse for his first appearance this afternoon. Maduro was seen in handcuffs surrounded by agents as he was loaded into an armored vehicle to be transported to the courthouse earlier this morning. He's been in U.S. custody since being captured in Venezuela on Saturday.
Operating in the country since August, working with a human source inside Maduro's inner circle, according to a source with knowledge of the matter. The team working for months with stealth drones to build a picture of Maduro's everyday life, while the military used the intelligence to build an exact replica of Maduro's safe house to train on.
Also happening today in New York, the UN Security Council is set to hold an emergency meeting over U.S. actions in the Caribbean. Of course they are. The Senate is preparing for a high-stakes vote that could limit DJT's ability to take further action in Venezuela without congressional approval, i.e., so they can leak it to the media and destroy operations. A bipartisan war powers resolution would need just a simple majority to pass, meaning 3 more Republicans would have to join Senator Rand Paul. Even if it clears the Senate, 47 is expected to veto the measure. 1 person is dead after 3 others wounded in a shooting in southeast Denver over the weekend. On Saturday night, early Sunday morning, after a group of people, Saturday morning, they were celebrating the capture of Maduro, and a 16-year-old boy died from his injuries near Iliff and South Havana. No arrests have been made.
By the way, Blake, did you see who was out protesting activities in Venezuela?
I did not. Well, I saw it nationally.
Jeanette
Vizquera. Wow. Really? I didn't see Jeanette? That. Oh, yeah. She's out there on the streets.
Already from the ICE detention facilities back to the streets.
No kidding.
She's protesting Trump.
She's protesting.
And she had a hat that said F ICE on while she's out there. This is a lady that's had a valid deportation order since 2013 and just decided she wasn't going to go. Ran into a church during Trump's first term. Then gets picked up outside Target, gets put in the ICE detention facility. The libs do their little protest every single Monday outside to free her. She gets freed on a bond. And she just goes right back to the streets with an F-ICE hat.
No idea.
Protesting Trump.
She
wants Maduro back in place. She's just a leftist agitator.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
She claimed asylum in America, then went back to Mexico for a wedding, crossed the border illegally again. She's such a disaster. And she's out there taking pictures. F-ICE.
That is amazing.
F-ICE. Go Maduro! Go Maduro!
Wow!
Golly, just put her on
that's amazing.
Trebuchet and send her back over.
Isn't that the truth? Wow! This is sometimes, man. I mean, it's like, how do they make it through just a Monday? It's incredible, unbelievable. Sunday afternoon, in their best uniforms, the Broncos and the Chargers.
It's a 3rd and 5. And Lance from the pocket gets picked off. Off the deflection. And here we go with the run back inside the 20. McMillan is in for the touchdown.
Jaquan McMillan. Pick 6, and the defense led the Broncos to victory over the Chargers Sunday. And they lock up the top seed in the AFC with a 19-3 victory. 19 points, so that was 6 right there. So that meant everything else came from field goals. And Bo Nix, 141 yards passing. He rushed for 49 yards. That was a team high. So, yes, the offense needs to improve a little. They have 2 weeks to prepare for either the Jags or the Bills in their first playoff game of the season. They'll have a bye, of course. Will Lutz hit all 4 of those field goals. Head coach Sean Payton after the game.
When we understood what was at stake, and now we sit here with the opportunity of having the 1 seed, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and that defense is incredible. Corner Pat Surtain II.
It's a big accomplishment for us, especially for this organization. Knowing what we've been through, how long it took for us to get to the spot. But it's all worth it for sure, but there's still more work to do.
All right, once again, 14-3. The regular season is in the books, and they have the weekend off coming up so they can check out their next opponent, which will be at Mile High coming up in just less than 2 weeks. Right here in the Mile High City. Falcons have fired head coach Raheem Morris, and the Browns expected to fire head coach Kevin Stefanski. The Patriots, Jags are the other top 3 seeds, along with Denver in the AFC. Other 2. The Steelers beat the Ravens to win the AFC North to earn the 4th spot. In the NFC, the Seahawks, top seed, and a first-round bye, and the Bears, Eagles, and Panthers division winners. Nuggets lose to the Nets 127-115. They can't wait till Nikola Jokic comes back in about a month. Avs fall to the Panthers 2-1. 33 in Aurora, 34 in Arvada, 35 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Billy, and they are back in a big way. Blake Olson.
Excuse me real quick. Gabe is texting in. Tell Olson nobody cares about the Broncos.
Man, that Raider game was ugly, Gabe. I'm sorry, man.
He wants to start talking about the draft picks for the Raiders.
And a new head coach, hopefully.
Yeah, seriously.
Scrap it all, man.
I was going to text in with Gabe a little bit and just kind of go on a side adventure here, a little side quest that Jeff will show. The idea of the Raiders holding that first position, and do they grab the quarterback or do they trade it and try to get more draft capital? The problem being, I'm not convinced if I'm a Raiders fan that Geno Smith is our quarterback. Is this the opportunity to possibly get the franchise quarterback, or are you pulling another Jamarcus Russell? That's what I want to know.
That's what's frightening to Raiders fans. Absolutely.
Yeah. And as Broncos fans, we've been in the wilderness for a while, so we understand the idea of what happens when you don't have a QB.
Absolutely. I mean, you could, you may be able to trade and get all the draft picks that you want, but you need a quarterback. You have to go get a quarterback, don't you? If you're the Raiders.
The problem I've got, though, is I would not, based on what we've seen, the quarterback evaluation process inside of the draft seems like the absolute worst evaluation of any position out there. For the one that is the most important, for the one that takes up the most resources, meaning dollars, on the team, it seems to be the one position where they really suck at identifying who's going to be great. And I go back to the Hall of Fame 5, where you had all the top superstars, and the only one that has really shown out is Josh Allen, who is supposed to be the worst of the 5.
Yeah,
and, I mean, you can make an argument for Lamar, for Lamar Jackson, but he's got an MVP. But again, he's been real up and down. So if you're talking about consistency, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, the bottom 2 in the Hall of Fame 5 are the ones that actually are the guys. That's the part. That these were guaranteed starters for the next decade, and nothing. Yeah.
I mean, the more I watch Fernando Mendoza, though, I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what? He could be their guy. Who knows?
Trey Lance looked good in college.
Yeah.
Just saying, we saw him yesterday.
Absolutely.
Not being able to hit the long ball.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
I don't know.
All right, we can stop worrying about the Raiders now. Sorry, Gabe.
Sorry, Gabe.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A mix of clouds, sun, and continued unseasonably warm here in Denver through midweek. At the end of the week, we'll finally see a bit of a change. Temperatures will be upper 50s and lower 60s and breezy today. Lower to mid-30s tonight, mid to upper 50s Tuesday, and mid to upper 50s Wednesday. Lows at night mostly in the 30s. Increasingly cloudy and turning much colder Thursday into Friday. Thursday into Friday will bring a chance of snow showers. By Friday, highs only 30s. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
It's the first Monday in January. Tampon Tim Walz dropping out of the re-election bid. Democrats fraud being exposed. Trump swooping in and grabbing those communist dictators. It's just such a beautiful day in America. Let's go to the phone lines. Iggy and Erie. Good morning, Iggy. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. This is a real mixed bag. The cartel of the sun is estimated doing business. Now, this is an estimation. There's different sources of $2 trillion a year. And one of the things they do is they distribute money. And some of the money, for people coming into the United States, and some of that. So there's they got one of the tentacles of the octopus, and the other tentacles are China, Russia, Iran, and so those guys are in place. They're going to be, and look at $2 trillion as opposed to what the gross national product of Venezuela is. Okay, and those people, the China and Iran and Russia, are going to be more than happy to finance getting their people in power because the structure's still there and the money's still there. I mean, there's trillions of dollars stashed somewhere for these people to grab onto. Just saying.
Yeah, I can see that, but the problem I've got with this, Iggy, in the whole idea that we need to go into Venezuela because of the drugs that are being trafficked into America and elsewhere. Problem. Well, hang on, let me finish. The problem that I've got with that so far, one is Venezuela's normally a through passage for coke, not for fentanyl. And we, again, and I'm using we as the royal we, but also we being the Jeff and Bill show, have highlighted the dangers that fentanyl is in our communities. There are laws that are being changed here in Colorado. Good friend of the show and former talk show host Stephen Tubbs, now working with the DEA and helps us there. And so fentanyl is the thing that's supposed to be the big scary thing. It's not necessarily coke. That go ask most of professional sports players, lots of rock stars, and most of Hollywood. A lot of us seem to be perfectly fine with the cocaine addiction in our country. And where I'm going with this, Iggy, is if we are going in there to shut down these drug cartels and to stop all this drug trafficking, one of the things that I think we are ignoring in that equation is demand. As long as there is a demand in America, people are going to want to supply it. So we may go in there and pat ourselves on the back and say, look what we've done to disrupt the drug trafficking inside of Venezuela and this major hit to the international crime syndicates. But as long as there is a demand here, this will continue. The drugs will flow. Just like they said in Dune, the spice must flow.
The spice must flow, but you're not looking at the big picture, Bill. The only reason they use
help me with that.
It is because he was indicted in the United States on drug charges, phony or whatever. That's what the arrest thing was in the United States when he was indicted. The real reason is power and control and money. Don't kid yourself. It's power over that area of the world because of the influence of Russia and China. He's sending them a message. And the drugs is the minor thing. I mean, hell, I think half the legitimate corporations in the United States have their fingers in the drug trade. But that's what it's all about. Look at China. China is off the coast of the Galapagos Islands right now with their fishing fleet, trying to they're killing all the fish with their electric net. This is their power and control. It's not about, and the other thing is that countries now conduct foreign policy. It used to be that corporations project power, and now they're illegal. The underworld, like the Russian mafia, the Chinese mafia, and yes, Hezbollah is part of the Iranian mafia. That's power and control. It has nothing to do. These are state-sanctioned mafias, or whatever you want to call it.
Iggy, I think that you have a point there.
And I
Iggy's
think
Erie. Thank you.
And one of the things that I think we'll have to watch for is some of those cartels and rebel groups that Maduro played footsie with and let play inside of Venezuela. What are we going to do about it? And what I mean by that is I have a hard time believing that if we say pretty please, the Venezuelan military is going to go after them. I have a hard time thinking the Venezuelan police are going to go after them.
I agree.
So who steps in?
Because it's like what happened in Iraq when you got rid of Saddam Hussein. Because he was the guy dragging everybody out back to kill him. You had a little bit of one person stability in that country, and then when you took him out, they all started to seek their own power, and it became a disaster. It is one of my concerns about Venezuela, because I think there's two really dumb cultures out there, communist cultures and Islamic cultures. And no matter what you do in those countries, they just resort right back to putting either Islamic leaders back into power or communist leaders back into power. All right, let's talk our friends at Rugged Mountain. From city streets to mountain trails, your gear should go wherever life takes you. That's why at Modern Rugged Leather, every bag is handcrafted from premium, responsibly sourced leather, designed to look sharp, last long, and tell a story of its own. They sent me a sample bag. It is remarkable how high quality Modern Rugged Leather is with their bags. I mean, this stuff, every stitch, buckle, strap reflects timeless craftsmanship and is backed by a lifetime warranty, because quality shouldn't quit when the adventure begins. Whether it's the boardroom or the back roads, Modern Rugged Leather helps you carry confidence every step of the way. Modern Rugged Leather, modern style, timeless durability, backed for life. Life takes you places. Make sure your gear keeps up. Shop the full collection and find yours today at modernrugged.com. modernrugged.com. Again, that's modernrugged.com. All right, we'll continue. Phone lines jam-packed as Jeff and Bill are back. You're listening to News Talk Leader, 710 KNUS. Welcome back. Yep, I am not on. Hey, there I am. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. First day back
this morning that it plays that Jay Giles song, and then we don't come back.
Caribbean. It's got the steel drums. It's
I don't
Venezuelan.
know what it is.
We should have some Venezuelan music. Welcome to the full Venezuelans.
Yeah, that's so strange.
Puerto Ricans. We could have the Cubans. Everybody. Just one big Latin American family. America is in that name. All right, let's go to the phone lines. What do you think of what Trump did in Venezuela with Maduro? Amazing. Military action sweeping in there. Only some injuries. No Americans lost. A majority of Maduro's security team killed, a majority of them Cuban. And they pulled the guy out. Now he's going to be arraigned here in just about an hour and a half in New York City. What are your thoughts on all this? Let's go to Jap in Lakewood. Good morning, Jap. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning. How are you?
Hey,
yeah.
Am I on right now?
Yes, you are, sir. Yeah, go ahead. What's on your mind?
Oh, this is Cap, K-A-P. I call into Peter Boyle sometimes and John Caldera. But, hey, good morning, fellas.
Glad to have you.
Morning.
Yeah, new show. I know you got a relatively new show, and I've never called in for it. I want to say, first of all, it's a Christmas miracle that we have Santa Walls has brought us a gift a little bit late, belated Christmas gift that he's not going to be running again. Yes. Okay, there we go. Let's get that out of the way. My thoughts on the situation. I'm the kind of guy I don't know, I know a lot about a little bit, but that I know a little bit about a lot. So I don't know all the information on it, but I kind of see it as kind of a different perspective on the oil, maybe. Like, what if it's, he also made this statement that we are going to control the government, which is kind of a weird, broad, sweeping statement there when he did that, yesterday or the day before. The point being is the oil. If he regulates the country, we know that Venezuela is in the top 20, I think, of production. So I'm looking at it on a perspective over the next 3 years. Trump's going to try to sell more American oil.
Yeah.
In some positioning, in the political positioning, global.
Cap, I got to ask you about this. This is quite a change that's happened because if you remember during the Bush eras, the protests were no blood for oil, no blood for oil. Now it seems like 25 years later, people are going, or 2026, yeah, we're going to take the oil because it makes our lives easier to have cheaper oil, and why not allow the companies to make profit? They're going to employ people. Yeah. It's going to bring wealth to Venezuela. Clearly nationalizing it didn't help the country. So, yeah. You know what? We're going to be in control of the oil now.
Look at what Trump's been saying when he was campaigning and everything. Look at the things he was announcing. Drill, baby, drill. He said drill, baby, drill.
Yeah, but did he say, Cap, did he say that drill, baby, drill elsewhere in Venezuela? Is that where he was selling it, or was he saying
here?
And here, but now we're going to go drill, baby, drill in Venezuela. And I appreciate you bringing up the idea of what Trump said when he was campaigning. Where, in terms of Trump's campaign, did you get this impression? Because I got the impression personally that it was America first. It was pull up the drawbridges. It was no more of these expansionist type of around the world, be the world policeman type of adventures. We need to take care of our home. In fact, I had supporters of MAGA calling into this show prior to the election saying that the best thing in the world is to cut back on the number of troops and bases we have around the world. Now we've taken over control of a country. Help me square that circle, Cap. How we got from MAGA, meaning America first, pull up the drawbridges, focus on America, American innovation, American jobs, to now, you know what we need to do? We need to go build the oil infrastructure in Venezuela. How? Where'd we get there, man?
I will agree with your point. I like it. Good point. So what I was going to say, too, to finish my statement, I mean, it wasn't just one thing. And I'm a big picture kind of guy. I always kind of look at the bottom line. And I see this as more than one purpose. I liked your last caller. I think I agree with him on global positioning. And I think Trump's had that in his mind, not, even way before he became president. I think he's always noticed global positioning simply because he's a big player. He's a billionaire. So he's been around the world. He flies everywhere. He knows the world. So I think he knows that taking Venezuela is a hot spot, because if you look at the recent happenings with Argentina, there's a better connection with Argentina and the U.S. now. So I think there's a multi-purpose going on here beyond the oil as well. I do agree with the positioning to show China and Russia what we did. And my last point, and I'll leave you guys would be, and I don't hear people talk about it, it was very cheap. I know it sounds a little weird to say, but it was done fast, and they didn't spend a lot of government tax money. Imagine this could have been drawn out for quite a few more months, maybe a year, because it's already been going on for a couple months that we heard in the news about the boats and then the threats and the talks with Moderna, the back and forth, the ping ponging, but I mean, it's done. I mean, he did something quick, and so we didn't spend a hell of a lot of tax money on it, and that's a good thing. It's
Cap,
money.
I think there's something to that, and I think Trump's realizing he can have a pretty big influence, particularly in Latin and South America, without having to spend nearly all the money that America did in Afghanistan and Iraq. Cap, I sure appreciate it. Cap from Lakewood.
Yeah, thanks for
His
calling.
line is open, 303-696-1971. Here's the text line, 720-819-5115. Speaking of the text lines, this is kind of where I'm going. Have you noticed oil is now okay for all those liberal green beans because they're worried we're not going to have enough power for AI? 8422 texting in. There is a shift I'm noticing out there where people are kind of coming to terms with solar and wind not being able to provide the power, especially for AI as we move forward. But I remember the blood for oil was such a charge against Bush in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Trump's just like, yeah, no, we're going to take it all now. It belongs to us, and we're going to benefit from it. And people are like, okay. Let's go to the phone lines. Frank in Evergreen. Good morning, Frank. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. We are lucky enough to be living in the great renaissance of America, where President Donald J. Trump is positioning us for the next century. And I think people like the grumpy old guy on Saturday morning who always talk about our civilization being in decline need to wake up and realize that we are making history today. And this is what we voted for. This is what I want. Venezuela is one small piece of the puzzle. And to Billy's point, where you can't, there's no right and wrong, it's because, it's all perspective. No, there is right and wrong. The right is what is good for America. The wrong is what is bad for America. And this is good for America. And it's taken at the presidents, Washington, Lincoln, both Roosevelt's, JFK, and Reagan believed the way Billy did, we'd all be living in caves still, because they wouldn't have ever done any adventures that made America great in the past. Well, now we have a president who's making it great now and in the
Frank,
future.
help me understand that. So previously, during the election run-up, it wasn't about going out and regime change and anything. It was pulling up the drawbridges. It was the idea that we shouldn't go on these adventurous wars.
You heard that. I never heard that.
Frank, we were tired of being in Afghanistan for so long, in Iraq, and these things not going well. That was the sales pitch from MAGA and Donald Trump during it. He didn't talk about going around with expansionist removal of other dictators around the world. He didn't talk about the idea that we needed to get back any oil infrastructure or something they stole from us in Venezuela. That was nowhere on the campaign trail at all. It was about America first, and we need to protect America. And that was bringing the troops home. No more going out there and attacking other countries. That Jack, you heard it too. I heard it. Jeff heard it. The audience heard it. How do we get now to regime change is now the bestest, mostest, most wonderfulest MAGA thing in the world?
Communications takes a sender and a receiver. And apparently you didn't receive the message as well as many of us did. It was never about drawing up the drawbridges or folding up the drawbridges. That was never the case. It was about America first. And that doesn't mean pulling up the drawbridges and letting China and Russia run the world. So I don't know how you got that.
No,
Billy,
it was. No, Frank, it was.
No, it was not.
No, Frank, it was. No, Frank, it was. It was the idea that we shouldn't be running around being the world's police force. That we don't have business running around doing this.
The police force
That's
thing,
what we're doing.
I agree with
Dude, we just removed.
He broke our laws.
Frank, we just removed Maduro being the world's police force
because he broke our laws. He broke our laws, and he has to pay. So we're not. These are not laws he broke someplace else in the world. He
Frank, he didn't break our laws.
Killing our people.
No, Frank, no, he didn't, because he didn't come into America and break our laws. He was in another country. You can't charge.
Billy?
But Frank,
did you not know that he was indicted in 2020?
Frank, I understand that, but there are other courts that have indicted other politicians from other leadership groups from around the world, and we look at those and thumb our nose at them. We look at those and go, the idea is, so you want
the entire elephant, you can't take a bite.
Okay, Frank, so you want to recognize the indictments of the International Criminal Court? Because they've indicted a lot of leaders. Do you want to recognize them? If it's just because they were indicted, but no, Frank, for you, it's about who did the indicting. That's the idea.
It's in our interest.
It's just like Putin and Xi. You agree with Putin and Xi. It's in Putin's interest to have back Ukraine and most of Western Europe, so we should give it to him. And Xi, it's in his interest to have Taiwan and other parts of the Asian Pacific Rim, so they should have it as well. But that's their perception and that's their position. But somehow, just because it's your position, Frank, yours is the bestest. I know it's ethnocentric, it's myopic. Yeah, it's okay. But you
like I said, if our former presidents, great presidents, like Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, JFK, and Reagan had thought the way you think, we'd still be living in caves, Billy. That's not the way it works. We do things that are
there used to be this great tradition in America of
that is a stupid insult.
Things. Now we're kind of taking things.
Yeah,
again.
It's a stupid insult, Frank. I appreciate the phone call, but the idea that because of things that I do, we'd live in caves? Oh, come on. That's just silly. You're just making personal insults that don't actually bring the direction of the conversation forward. You're just trying to call me names on something and saying it's stupid. You're not actually dealing with the conversation. That's why you're gone. Let's continue the conversation.
Frank's line is open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. All right, friends, if you listen to me for any amount of time, you know I care deeply about freedom, responsibility, and supporting local businesses that have stood the test of time. That's why I want to tell you about the Gun Room. The Gun Room has been Denver's oldest firearms dealer since 1982. When you walk in, you feel it. Real wood, real craftsmanship, a shop that actually looks like a gun store, less plastic and more tradition. They buy, sell, and consign any and all firearms, from antique and vintage to hunting and tactical, and they do something big box stores never will. They work closely with families who've lost a loved one and need help handling a gun collection with care and respect. Inventory changes daily with over 1,000 firearms in stock. So if you're thinking about buying, especially with new restrictive laws coming, you should act now. Support local, support family-owned, and support freedom. Visit denvergunroom.com or call 303-237-1300, 303-237-1300, denvergunroom.com. That's the Gun Room, a Colorado original. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. Charles, you're up next. Jack, after that, you're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Phone lines hot as we discuss Trump's actions over the weekend in Venezuela. Let's go to Charles in New Mexico. Good morning, Charles. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for the call.
Good morning. Privilege. You guys are slammed. I've been trying to get on for an hour. I do like the live feed that came across my social media there. I like the live feed. Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you, man. What's on your mind? What do you think about this action we took in Venezuela over the weekend?
Well, I first got to say that it's quite circumstantial, but you say that a pro or anti-Maduro protester was killed near Iliff in Havana. And I used to live near there, and I'm upset. And so this is quite circumstantial that, he even said in his statement the other night that the Trans Aguas or whatever, some of the baddest people for Maduro are in Aurora, and I don't want to go long on that. It's not why I called, but I heard Blake give the report that a small group of people were, shot at because they're, happy for this event. Hundreds of people in Times Square, or maybe even over 1,000. There's no shooting up there. Aurora again.
Yeah, but hey, Charles, let's focus in on Maduro and the power change and the regime change. Good for the U.S., bad for the U.S. Why not? What do you see as the possible positives or the negatives?
Perfect. I don't like. I'm sorry, but I don't like the Saudi Arabians. This is a pretext for now. If we don't rely on Saudi oil anymore, we can go after them for the $250 billion they owe us for 9/11. They harbored that. They didn't do it in the first degree, but it came out of their country, and it's cost our country about $250 billion. So it's time to make a claim now that we don't need their oil, because they would just always want to trade oil. Our hemisphere has got to grow in strength, and we've got to unite. And I know that's easier said than done.
Interesting. Hey, Charles, thanks for the phone call, man. I appreciate that. Now, the weird thing is the idea that you have about the oil and taking power away from the Saudis, I can get there with you. I'm just not certain I would do it this way, my friend. I'm just not certain I'd do it this way. But I understand what you're saying, and I stand right next to you in the idea that we need to decouple ourselves from the dependence upon OPEC and the Saudi oil money. I agree with you. I just think we may take different plans to get there, man. But I appreciate the call.
Charles, New Mexico, appreciate it. Let's go to Jack in Wyoming. Good morning, Jack. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I think that the Monroe Doctrine has something to do with this. I know it seems kind of remote at this stage, because that's to stop colonization. But colonization starts with a small incursion, and I think Venezuela was ripe for that. And weren't they? China trying to get their hands on the Panama Canal there for a while? These are the things that are small incursions that they're allowed to succeed, and that they will become
now, Jack,
colonization.
what China was doing is China was using soft power, the same way that the U.S. has for decades as well. The idea of ingratiating themselves through economic means, and they were doing that to a lesser extent inside of Venezuela. So, yeah, I can see that, but they were going through the soft power versus us are like, in this case, it's the hard power. It's the, we yoinked your leaders. Now deal with it.
It's the camel's nose under the tent, Billy.
Okay. Now, do you think we were right in doing this? Was this the correct thing to do, Jack? If you were given a vote in the room prior to this action taking place, do you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I'd give a thumbs up, and I don't have the empirical evidence to prove what their intentions were. I'm just speculating on that, which you should never speculate.
Now, I appreciate you and I go back and forth. We clash a lot, but I do appreciate how you think. Now, what I want to know from you on that, if you think this is good, I'm going to go to the question that I've asked over and over again this morning. Do you then think this validates Putin's claims on Eastern Europe and Xi's claims on Taiwan and other portions of the Asian Pacific Rim, because they're making the same Monroe Doctrine-esque claims that the U.S. is on Central and South America? Your thoughts?
It could be the same. I don't know enough about it, but it could be the same.
That's fair, man.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. What do you think is next? We still have Maduro's power structure there. So saying that we have totally replaced all of the guys that he put in charge are still there. Do we trust them? And if not, Jack, what do we do about it?
If I was in that power structure, I'd be heading to Moscow. I'm not sticking around.
But yeah, the other part is, but what do you do about it? Because the idea is the U.S. just going to come in and keep taking people inside of the government power control system that they don't agree with? Or is there eventually going to be a, hey, you keep taking our leaders, maybe you should stop this kind of a movement? Where and when does this become the positive thing for the Venezuelans if we're just going to come in and steal or, unalive all the leaders we disagree with there?
I don't know how the diplomats are going to do it, but it's probably going to be done through some kind of an economic sanction to get their way. I mean, this is all backroom. It's all backroom stuff, Billy. You and I can't do this stuff.
No, we can't, especially not on this show this morning. Hey, Jack, I appreciate the phone call, man. I hope
Jack
you had a happy
from
New Year, man.
Wyoming. All right, coming up next hour, he's running for the Republican nomination for treasurer. Kevin Grantham's going to join us. You probably know that name. He was Senate president. He's a county commissioner down in Fremont. He's going to join us. And it's one of the races where there's not 50 other Republicans running.
Yeah.
Good night. And then we're going to have Greg Lopez on tomorrow to talk about why he's running now as an independent. So while you have all that craziness, I think it's brilliant. Like, part of politics is finding not just the office you want, but the office you can serve in competitive places, right? And so I always admire people that step up for these seats that aren't always going directly for the spotlight. I want to be the big governor, executive, chief shot all the time because that's so competitive. I don't know if it's feasible in Colorado. There's a lot of questions around that. But these other offices are so critically important. Attorney General, Treasurer, all that stuff I think is critical. And I applaud Kevin Grantham for stepping up to run for treasurer.
Yeah. Treasurer is really, really important. It takes me back to those days where I was a young kid, middle school, out there on the playground. You had to pick and choose who you wanted to go against in basketball. You were over 6 feet? No, I'm not have a shot. There's no way I'm stepping on the court with you. I'm already host. I got to pick my opponents very carefully, very carefully. Same thing here.
He might be up against Jeff Bridges, Breonna Tattone. Who's he going to face? We're going to talk all this. And can he root out the corruption in Colorado? Kevin Grantham's next. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
KN